Good morning, Commissioner Hudson.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining me on SHC Business Podcast.
Certainly. Thank you for having me.
Right. First question. Outside of your work as county commissioner, what do you like to do for fun in Mobile?
Oh, well, I love spending time with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And because I tend to work so much, there's not a lot of extra time. But when I have it, I enjoy being with them. I have two young granddaughters here in Mobile, 3 and 1 years old. And my older two are in Virginia, so I don't get to see them nearly as often. But I think that's what I do for fun, is just enjoy hanging out with them and playing with them. And so besides that, I love going to. I'm a big patron of the arts. I love symphony and ballet and opera and. So those are things that whenever I do have free time, I enjoy participating in.
Now, are you classified as a cool grandma or strict grandma?
Well, that probably a little bit in between.
Yeah.
I've every parenting style is different, and so I think I was definitely classified as a strict parent. Mm-hmm. And that spills over just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, I try to be the fun grandma if I can. Good.
Speaking of the arts, I have never been a big art person, but I just auditioned for the Spring Hill play. And we're doing some sort of rom-com, Almost Maine is the name. But I got, an audition and I got a role. So now I'm getting some of my first experience in the arts and looking forward to it.
Well, great.
The play is at the end of March, so maybe.
Well, I'll have to come see that.
Yeah. What are your main shows you like to get into, or type of niches you like to follow in the arts?
Oh, I am pretty broad spectrum. I enjoy the theater, musicals. Mm-hmm. And certainly, the classics as far as ballet. I love going to Nutcracker every year. That's a big experience for us. And, of course, my granddaughter, my little 3-year-old granddaughter, she's in dance now. So we'll be going to her recital in the not-too-distant future. And I enjoy all art forms. And it just sort of transcends you out of your everyday life, and it's just to watch people who have really worked hard and been able to hone their skills, their craft, their abilities, their talents. It's impressive to me to watch, and so I enjoy that very much.
Me too. What inspired you to get into public service?
Well, initially it was my involvement with the public school system. Mm-hmm. I was a public school mom. I had 3 children in elementary school, and I saw a tremendous need for improvements to the facilities primarily. We had overcrowding on every campus throughout the county, probably at least 12 or more portable classrooms, because they're just, they were insufficient for the number of students that were attending on each campus. Mm-hmm. And lunch waves sometimes at schools were starting at 9:30 in the morning just to be able to accommodate all of the students on campus. And so, I knew we could do better than that. And I wanted to be a part of making that change. I couldn't just stand by and watch that and complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a part of doing something about it. So I got very involved with parent-teacher organizations, helped found a countywide organization, Citizens for Better Education. Some people remember that back in the late 90s. And we spoke out. We would go to Montgomery and speak before the legislature. We advocated here in Mobile and with a school board, and I think that was the beginning of the efforts to really bring about change. It took a while. It didn't happen overnight, not even the first year.
Right.
But it eventually brought about change, and we were able to improve the facilities throughout the county. And I think there are still portables at some schools, but it's nothing like it was. And I think the resources came through, and it had a lot to do with the advocacy that we had back in the late 90s.
Good. I think that's incredible. You went from, full scale, just seeing the need, to now being at the top of, local government, now running for mayor and all that great stuff. So before we get to the mayoral stuff, you're a county commissioner right now?
I am.
For someone that doesn't know, what does a county commissioner do?
Well, a county commissioner, the commission is the budgetary authority for all county offices, not only the county administration, but also the licensed revenue commissioner, the sheriff. We are the budgetary authority for the jail, the probate judge, Strickland Youth Center. So even though those offices are basically autonomous in terms of they have their own elected official, the budgeting authority falls under the umbrella of the county commission. And so we handle, like I said, the budgets. We have an administration with public works and engineering. We do roads and bridges. We have we handle public works improvements, ditches, cleaning out ditches and making sure rights of way are maintained on county roads. And we have county parks and recreation. Right. And we handle.
So you're kind of like allocating budget to all these, public services?
Right. It's public services and roads and bridges. The pay-as-you-go program, a lot of the citizens in Mobile County are familiar with that because they vote on it. It's on a ballot every 2 years, and it provides improvements to roads and bridges throughout the county. And probably since 1977, we've allocated nearly $1 billion to road improvements. So It allows us to be proactive in our transportation needs and making sure that those are met. Otherwise, it would be. I can't imagine what it would be like not to have had that money for improvements throughout the county.
Is it certain people from each, like Parks and Rec, do they come and say we need more money for XYZ? How do you know what they need and what they should get?
Well, during the budget preparation process, each of our departments will approach the finance department and with their needs. They'll give us a list of what they'll need for the coming year and how much that will cost. And then we make the determination based on our revenues, what we can afford to do. And so that's typically how the budget preparation works. But it starts months in advance. Our fiscal year starts October 1st, so budget planning really starts during the summer before
Gotcha.
Date.
Gotcha. Is the position of county commissioner, how do you get in there? Is it you're elected, or how do you get in? It is an
elected office every 4 years, and we are elected by districts. Mobile County has 3 commissioners, so each of us represent a constituency of about 138,000 people. And so my district, District 2, is the west and northwest part of Mobile County. And every 10 years, based on the census, the lines do change because they have to reflect the population. We may have to have an equitable number of people in each of the districts. So one district can't have twice as many as another district.
Right.
So,
right.
And so we keep that equitable, but that's required based on the census. It's a federal requirement that we do that.
I see. And Mobile is known for its diverse population. How do you go about representing the needs of all the constituents in your district?
Well, it's really a matter of staying in touch, of keeping your finger on the pulse, knowing what needs, what issues, what concerns that the people that I represent have, and communication. Communication is the key. I'm accessible. I try to be anyone who calls the office. They'll get a return phone call, and if when they present a concern to us, then we do everything we can within our power to try to help them and to address those concerns. And whether we have to go through the legal department, or we're calling the public works director or the county engineer, or from any of our other departments that we need to reach out to. If it's facilities, whatever we need to do, we will handle it to the best of our ability. And if it falls outside the realm of our responsibility, a lot of times, for instance, we'll get calls from people that maybe live within the city of Mobile, and then we try to be helpful in that we will contact either the city council member, the mayor's office, or whomever. Sometimes it's the public utilities, if it's the power company, or the Mobile area water and sewer. We just because doesn't fall within our responsibility doesn't mean we just say, I'm sorry, we can't help you. We do try to take that extra step. My office does to help address those needs, because a lot of times people don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
They may know my number, my office number, but they don't know who else to call. And so we do try to be that helpful in the respect that we'll point them in the right direction.
We appreciate that. In my time reaching out to you in your office, it's been super favorable. I got in contact with Grace, and we were able to set this up super seamlessly. So I am a big fan of the communication style y'all have going on.
Thank you.
Is when people call in about a question or concern, how many people are fielding these calls? How does that work on the back end?
Well, it depends. If they call my office, then I have an administrative assistant, and she will take the information and she'll bring it directly to me. But oftentimes it's a pretty straightforward issue, and she knows that if it's an issue that falls within the public works department or the county engineering, then she's authorized to put a call into them to ask them, questions about where if it's a maintenance issue on a right-of-way, where does that fall on the list, on the maintenance list, and find out that information. Then she'll bring it to me and tell me, and so I will give her direction on how to handle that, and moving forward, how we contact the constituent to let them know, what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. In today's news, there's been a lot of talk on AI governance and, artificial intelligence. Do you think that there could be it could be beneficial to set up like a chatbot to get the queries, instead of your administrative assistant, it goes to a chatbot that then remembers the concerns and queries and all that?
I think to a degree, but a lot of times people want that personal contact, and that's part of staying tuned in to the constituency, is that relationship. There's a lot of relationship building, and the way that you build people's trust and confidence is having that contact and being sensitive to their concerns and helping them with issues. So, there may be a place for AI, but it will never replace that personal contact.
I agree. And speaking of relationships, how can the relationship between local government and business affect and help the growth of Mobile?
Oh, it's absolutely a partnership. The years that I've been in local government, both as a city council member and a county commissioner, I have been a big part of the economic development initiatives that have gone on. We call it Team Mobile. We work closely in conjunction. The county works with the city, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the higher education, with the public utilities, the Port Authority, the Airport Authority. By the time it's said and done, particularly on these big industries that we're recruiting to Mobile, everybody is involved. It is most definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
But it does at some point require sitting down at the table and negotiating if it's an incentive package, or how the number of jobs, or how it impacts the community. Because ultimately it's about growing the community, providing jobs, and keeping people in Mobile. We want the opportunities in Mobile County, so that young people like yourself, when you finish college, there'll be opportunities for you here, and we want our families to be here. So it's a win-win situation. There's always an incentive involved with recruiting, business, and industry because it's just a highly competitive arena when it comes to business. But I think we have done extremely well over the past 10 years. Team Mobile can take credit, I think, for recruiting about 10,000 jobs to the community, and
That's huge,
right? And and we've really come a long way, and I think the future is bright. But that also brings along the question of workforce. And so now we're working very hard with workforce development to try to train people for some of these specialized jobs in manufacturing and in other areas, because the employers want to make sure when they locate in Mobile that they have a workforce that's ready and able to go to work. And so it's kind of a hand in glove situation, and we need to be a part of that and have been and will continue to be.
So when the city's talking with these businesses about coming to Mobile, what are the big incentives that the city conveys?
Well, the city and the county, typically the city and the county partner 50-50 on a lot of these initiatives for incentives. It could be anywhere from a tax abatement. It could be an in-kind contribution for road work or other infrastructure improvements. It could be some cash involved, but it's or if there are utilities, providing utilities. So it could be any number of things, and it depends. It's sort of matched. The type of incentive package is matched with the number of jobs and how it will benefit the community.
Right.
There's a cost benefit, I guess, equation on every incentive package and how it affects Mobile. So if we see in the future that if we're going to end up with 4,000 jobs eventually, then they're likely to get a lot better package than somebody that doesn't need that type of incentive, for that large scale incentive. So it's relative, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, based on the number of jobs and the benefit to the community in the long term.
Gotcha. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing Mobile today?
I think that we have an issue, not unlike a lot of communities throughout the country, and certainly in the state. There's a public safety, a crime issue, especially with youth violence. We see a lot of that. Some of it's gang related, certainly, but I think that most people, if you watch nightly news, and a lot of people do, they see a lot happening with crime, with violence, and particularly youth violence. And I think we've got to look for ways to get that under control. That is the root of the problem. When crime starts in young people, then typically they get in the system, and there's recidivism. They come back around again and again, and we need to direct efforts, I think, with the programs to help interrupt that cycle of crime and violence. And I think there are some things that we can do.
I agree. And one of the tougher spots in Pritchard, there's a professor, John Eads from here. He's got a nonprofit called Light of the Village that
I've heard, yes.
That they do great things, and a lot of the students at Spring Hill have the ability to go volunteer with him and intern and really get a different perspective on what life is and some struggles of other people in our community.
They do very good work. There's also another program called the Inspire Project, and this was started by a trauma surgeon at University Hospital. And she was seeing the effects of violence coming through the hospital in their trauma center. And so she decided we need to do something about this. Most of it is related to violence with young people. And so she started Project Inspire, and what this is it's a program and right now they're getting referrals from Strickland Youth Center, because these are young people who are already in the system, who have, they are very much at risk because of behavior and whatever has led them to ended up being in Strickland Youth Center. But they are being referred to Project Inspire. They go over to the hospital, University Hospital, and they tour the trauma bays, and they see the effects of violence, of gun violence, and everything that they may have even been a part of at one time, and see how it affects the lives of people.
Yeah.
And they are mentored. They get counseling for career planning and learning how to interview and learning what a new normal, as I think the way Dr. Williams put it. They've never known anything any different, and so it's kind of reteaching how to behave in society. And so they also learn life-saving skills. That's part of the program, to teach them life-saving skills, with the idea that if you learn to save lives, you're less likely to take lives. And so, and my understanding is that recidivism is very low, of coming back through the Strickland Youth Center, having to come back into the system that way. And so I would love to see this expanded so that the school system can make referrals, churches can make referrals, because they're oftentimes the very first entities that see a problem with particular students, that see someone who is really at risk of maybe taking that next step in criminal behavior. And so to be able to refer them on a more large scale, of course it means, expanding the program, but that is where I think that we as a community and city and county government can step in to assist that way.
Right. Are there programs or deals for local government, city government to donate or sponsor these?
Certainly, that's what I'm talking about. To be a part of helping with that solution, because eventually you're going to pay money housing them in Metro Jail if you don't interrupt that cycle early and help them change their lives and become productive citizens.
Wow. Is the Dr. Williams that started it, is she still a surgeon, or is she doing this full time?
She's a trauma surgeon, University Hospital.
Wow. Wow.
Inspiring program that really got my attention, and I thought, this is where we need to focus efforts. It's not going to change things overnight, but in the long run, I think it can have a big impact on crime statistics in Mobile. And that's just one example.
Yeah, definitely. Switching topics, what is the best way that the city can balance growth and new infrastructure while preserving our historical identity?
I think that, we see it in communities all across America who are historic cities. They have historic structures that they have preserved and actually made into office buildings and, condominiums. Repurpose them, but keep the historic facade, the charm. I think that, some of these buildings are really part of the identity of the community. It's because they've been there so long. People have, they've been, whether they've been homes, they've been office buildings, but they're a part of the community. And if there's a way to repurpose these buildings as opposed to just tearing them down and putting up another building, I would love to see that happen. I'm originally from Phoenix City, Alabama, and across the river is Columbus, Georgia. And on a recent visit, I was touring downtown in Columbus, and it's an old mill. They are along the Chattahoochee River. There was several mill buildings that back in the day, textile mills, and they have taken some of those mill buildings, and one in particular, and basically gutted the inside of it, and it has become a performing arts center, the River Center.
Oh, gorgeous!
And
right on the river,
right
too.
on the river, and there's Riverwalk, but on the river as well. But they've repurposed that building where it has the facade, more of an industrial kind of facade on the outside, but yet it's renovated inside and some degree outside too, but it still maintains that historic charm. And that's just one example. I see that, in other places that I visit, and I think, and certainly Mobile, because we are one of the oldest cities in the country, we still have a lot of charm, a lot of
I agree.
Historic buildings that we need to really, if at all possible, preserve and turn them into something that is, useful in the community.
Right. Is that in your job description to go check out other cities and see what's going and what's working for them?
Occasionally, we do leadership exchange. The chamber sponsors that. It's an annual trip, and it pairs with a city that has some commonality with Mobile or Mobile County, and we go and learn some of what their best practices, what they're doing. But we also get a real feel for the city. We take tours and see what they've done for in projects like preservation, and so it's inspiring. A lot of what we learn is inspiring. We come back and think, we can't do it exactly that way, but we can tailor it to our needs,
right,
and we can make it work as well, if not better.
Make a better version.
Yeah. Right.
I've heard talks about Mobile making a river walk or bay walk, like kind of some shops and hospitality on the water. That's similar to like what the performing arts established on the river.
Center.
Yeah. Do you think is that in the works here, or is that just talk? Is that possible?
I think it's in the works. There are plans to do a Riverwalk hotel, and I think that if you have things on the water that, and this would be next to the convention center, if you have things that bring people to the water, then you can expand on things like having a river walk. But I think that people love the water, and they love to look at it. They love to be near it, and I think we have a lot of opportunity to do something very similar that brings people downtown and brings downtown is the heart of the city. When we have visitors come, typically that's where they're visiting, and so we want to put our best foot forward and offer amenities in the downtown area. But I think there's certainly room for improvements all throughout the city.
Yeah, I think the downtown airport is going to do a lot, just having people flying downtown and stay downtown, to really grow that space more.
Exactly. But like I said, and to have those amenities available for people, if they just want to get out and wander and whether they want to go over to a river walk or, be near the water, or just in the downtown area, the museum district, the arts district, to have all this available.
Yeah, it's special and makes Mobile an even better place.
Absolutely.
What has been the most rewarding part of your public service tenure so far?
Oh, gosh. I absolutely love my job, and I think it's sometimes it's the feedback that I get on projects that I've been able to work on. Like I have worked on a couple of senior center projects, and just the feedback from people who tell me that what a difference it's made in their lives. Maybe they had been recently widowed, or they had moved to the community, didn't know anybody, and they started going to the senior center and got to know people and made friends and started new hobbies, and it just absolutely changed their lives. And, there's no better feeling than that, to hear a story like that, and that makes it all worthwhile. I think my senior centers, right now, a couple of big projects, several big projects that I'm working on, one being the soccer complex, the aquatic center. Those are all construction underway. We're phasing it because of the overall cost. So we're, as funding is available, we're continuing construction. Escatapa Hollow Park and Campground. A real focus for me has been recreation, parks and recreation, sports tourism, and those types of facilities. But those are the ones people hear about most. There's other areas, initiatives that I'm working on that aren't publicized quite so much, but in my heart are just as important. You know, the initiatives that we've taken with mental health improvements through our ARPA funding. We were able to, the commission was able to, and this was something I was really spearheading, is to get funding into providing voluntary commitment beds in Mobile County for adults. That's between geriatric and juvenile ages. We had none. There were no beds available for someone who was a voluntary commitment. They were having to go out of state, out of county for services, and we have provided funding to get 32 beds built. Also, another initiative was the mental health court. You know, we were seeing people coming through our jail system who had mental health issues. Oftentimes it's drugs, you know, substance abuse and mental health, but they were not getting the help. They were sitting in jail. And so we have put forth money to start a mental health court. It's been in operation now going on a year, and it's been very successful so far. They started small, but we'll be expanding it, and it gets people the help they need much sooner than going through the system and, you know, and just being held in jail.
That's huge, and it's definitely life-changing for them and life-changing for their families that lose a family member to, you know, addiction or violence.
Exactly. And, you know, and it helps with overcrowding in the jail, too, because it takes people, gets them help and gets them out of the system and treated much sooner. And that way we're not overcrowded as much at the jail with having them there.
Right. Overcrowding is one thing too, but something that a friend mentioned to me is that, like in the jail system, you know, someone goes in as a mid-tier criminal, not, you know, some horrible person, but then they're surrounded by people that have committed horrific crimes. So then, like, you don't really get better. You just, like, your mind is just kind of engulfed in all the other crazy people in there. So you come out worse.
Well, I think that it's incumbent on us to try to get people the help they need, but also I think it can help turn lives around. You're not going to be able to help every single person. I know that, but if you can help some and help turn their lives around and get them out of the system and that vicious cycle of in and out of jail, then I think that's what we need to do. I helped spearhead a program called the Inside Out program to do just that. And it was providing, everybody comes in with different problems, different issues, and you tailor a program for that individual, pre-sentencing, and the judge takes that into consideration if they have completed a program and done it successfully and have shown improvement. So that was another program that I was involved with starting.
Nice. Why should Mobile citizens be happy and looking forward to this next mayoral election?
Well, I think they should be looking forward to it. It's it's an opportunity to continue the momentum, to continue the progress, and that's why I'm in this race. That's what I'm prepared to do. It's a sense of duty for me. It's a sense of obligation to step up and put the years of experience and knowledge that I've gained. You know, sometimes you only learn through experience, and that's true in public office because every day is different, and you encounter all sorts of problems and issues, and it's the kind of thing that years of experience hone your skills to be able to step into a role that there's really not much time for a learning curve. You have to be able to hit the ground running, and that's where I feel like that therein lies my strength, that I can do that. And I love the city. It's been so good to me, my family. You know, I've raised my 3 children here, and I've volunteered, I've worked, I've served in public office, and I've just been blessed. And I think to whom much is given, much is required. And so it's a duty for me to give back.
Yeah. What's the strategy to get elected and get across the finish line?
Well, the strategy is to get the message out, to make sure people understand why it's important to elect somebody with experience, somebody who knows how to get results and knows how to collaborate. I think if I had to say my number one strength in being able to be productive and to get work accomplished has been my ability to collaborate with people. I love getting input. I love working with community organizations and groups and boards. And there's just a wealth of knowledge, experience, passion, and ability in the community. And people want to be a part of helping make Mobile a better place to live.
Right.
And it's just engaging that, harnessing that energy and putting it to work. And that's what I have done the entire time that I've been in office. And and if I had to say one reason that I have been, I think, successful in getting projects completed, it's because of that energy that is coming out of the community to make these things happen.
Right.
It's not about me. It's about collaboration.
Yeah, you connect with the constituents and then get them on board to help drive it through. And the difference in perspectives is what I feel is really, the most important part.
And I love that. I don't want everybody just to agree because they think that's what I want to hear. I want to hear every side. I want to know what people are thinking, how people are feeling, how it affects them and their families. And because I find there are things I don't think about sometimes. And by listening to people, I get a much better perspective on what we should do.
What inspired your initial move from Phoenix City to Mobile?
Well, when I was a senior in college, I started dating a young man whose parents live in Phoenix City. His father had retired there. His mother grew up in Phoenix City. And his father was he was an Army brat because his father they'd moved all over, the world really. And but when he finished college, he came to Mobile and took a job, and so we started dating. I met him on a trip home one weekend, in Phoenix City, and we started dating. And so I ended up moving to Mobile, and we got married. March the 15th will be 45 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And so I say it was love. Love brought me to Mobile. And so it's been a life-changing experience. You put yourself in God's hands, you have the faith, and he will lead. And that's exactly why I'm here and why I'm doing everything that I do.
Right. What's the celebration plan for March 15th?
I think we'll probably spend it with family, grandchildren, of course, and just enjoy being together.
Right. How about that Italian spot off Old Shell that you said
that
you
is
liked?
entirely possible.
Yeah. Good. Good. My last question is, what advice would you give to young people that want to get involved in public service or politics?
I think the more you can get involved with different organizations that you pair with because you are interested in what they do, that they stand for what you believe in, I think get involved. Involvement is the key. It's got to start somewhere. Mine was back with the public school system, as a young mother, and you're never too busy to get involved. Make time for it, and learn what it means to be a public servant, to serve people. And as a volunteer, I say to be effective at anything in government, if you started as a volunteer, then you have a better perspective, because when you lead a volunteer organization as PTA president, which I was, once upon a time, you realize that you have to inspire people to get on board and to see the vision. You can't order them to. And, if you can rally people as volunteers, then you've come a long way. That's part of the key of being able to be successful in government.
Get everyone on board with you.
Yes.
Good. I'll pass it on to some of my friends that are going to D.C. to be staff assistants and that are real interested in politics. I thank you for coming on, and I thank you for your service. I look forward to seeing this election.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business Podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.